If watering your garden has become a chore for you, let me show you the secret to a trouble-free, worry-free, almost work-free irrigation system for your garden. So this is my garden. This is my irrigation system I have laid out on my vegetables. I'll show you the vegetables in the ground in just a minute. These are all in containers. Wicking tubs or earth boxes. This is an earth box. And all you do is just lay out your main line, tee off where you want a row, and then you punch a hole in the main line with a 1/4-inch barb, put a 1/4-inch hose on it and an emitter, go down the hole of the earth box. Earthbox sells something similar to this, but it's a lot more expensive than it is to do it yourself. But this, look how simple, look how well laid out that is, and it couldn't be easier. I use a manual timer on it. This is the timer I have found to be the best. It's a little Orbit timer. I'll put a link to it below the video. And I've only had one. I bought 4 or 5 of them, and I've only had one of them not work. One of them stay on, and I fixed that. I kind of sprayed some WD-40 in it this year when I put it back in service, and it hadn't failed me yet. And unless you're on city water, you're going to need an inline filter. That's what that is. That is a filter. It unscrews here, take it off, clean the filter out, and you have to have a pressure regulator. In this case, this is an 8 gallon per minute, but it's 12 psi. You don't want your pressure to be real high or these fittings will pop up. So you have to have a pressure regulator. So make sure you get that. I have found it real convenient to have a small section of hose, and I bought these I think they're 6 feet hoses from either Tractor Supply or Northern Tool, I don't remember which, several years ago. And it allows me to, just a more convenient way to install the Haas fertilizer injector. When I'm not using the injector, I just hook this hose to that hose, which is the outgoing hose toward the vegetables. And when I do want to put it in there, I just break it apart and put that in there and use the fertilizer injector to fertilize my garden. Let's take a better look at it. The main components are going to be tees, end stops, 1/4-inch barbs. That's what that is right there. 1/4-inch barb sticking down in that hose, in the 1/2-inch hose, and the emitters. I've got those emitters turned off to the onions right now in those tubs because they're just about done. But look how convenient that is. Just flows down there, down the aisle, comes down this aisle. Just couldn't be more attractive and functional. I'm watering right now. All I do is turn the hose on and it waters like a champ. In these grow bags, now it's a little bit different. I punch a hole, punch that 1/4-inch hole in the 1/2-inch line, and then I run these emitters up in here and water like this. And I've got these all laid out. These are my squash and zucchinis laid out like this with a 1/4-inch hose going to each plant. This has worked out real well. These zucchini, as you can see, look really, really nice. These tubs, trays underneath them, and I do suggest a tray underneath your grow bags if you use grow bags. The trays underneath them have a hole drilled at about 2 inches. So no more than 2 inches of water will ever stand in those grow bags because it will drain out. And this is my cucumbers. I'm starting to get quite a few cucumbers. As you can see, they look marvelous. These are my burpless. I planted them a couple of 3 weeks before I planted the other ones. And I don't know whether they're starting to play out, but they're starting to get a little tired. And I have already pulled a lot of cucumbers off it. But basically, just a T. In that case, it's an L because it's the end of the row. And I'll show you the end stop in just a minute. It just comes down at each earth box, or at each wicking tub, or at each grow bag, or whatever. I have a line plugged into the 1/2-inch line. and go down. Now at the end, I said that one of the important things is an end stop, and that's what that is. And it just basically folds the pipe back on itself like that. It's a little figure 8 piece right there that folds the pipe back on itself, shuts off the water, and I am fixing to have to start making pickles. I didn't realize they were that big. That's 8 inches long there, and I'm gonna have to start picking those and getting ready to start making more pickles. Get out the Mrs. Wages. If you don't know how to pickle, and if you're scared to, if you think you just can't do a good job, whatever, look at my video I did last year on making pickles. It was my first year to make pickles successfully. I tried it, I think, one time before. First year to make pickles, and I tell you what, they were beautiful, and they are extremely, extremely tasty. In the past, I think I tried one time before, maybe twice, and it just was not a pickle that I really cared to eat. It just wasn't all that great. But the Mrs. Wages recipe that you buy on Amazon is the way to go. So all these tubs, earth boxes, are getting irrigated right now with me not doing anything. They're all caged, they're all making groceries. Got lots of maters up in there. This is my pink brandy wine. I can tell you right now that one's gonna be a big one right there. And the rest of them are looking good. But to be able to irrigate while you are walking around doing something else, or while you're at work, or while you're whatever, this is the way to go. Now, if you're going to be gone on vacation or something, you might want a different timer than this Orbit. And I do have a favorite timer that I use for that purpose. If I'm going to be on vacation or something, I will replace that timer with, I believe it's called a Melnor, and I use those around the house too, and they do a good job. So I'll put a link to that one too, if you're going to be away. But if you're going to be here every day, crank that thing up. So in my case, I've got, everything is on 2-gallon emitters. So if I set that on 60, I run for 60 minutes. I'm giving each tub 2 gallons of water. Most of these tubs are going to take 2.5 to 3, so sometimes I'll crank it up to 90 minutes and run it like that. Maybe every other day I'll do 90, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday I do 60, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday I do 90, just to make sure it's topped off from time to time. And that is keeping this garden watered, with the exception of me putting in the system, which is not hard to do. It's just not, it doesn't cost me any labor to water my garden now, except to walk by and twist that little knob right there. So let me show you the crops that are in the ground. So these are my crops that are in the ground. It's my corn. I'm not real happy with my corn. It's my fault. I didn't, when I planted it too sparse, and so it has grown pretty sparse. And I haven't stayed with the weeds. I've got it healed pretty good, but it's just not, not looking as great as my corn has looked in the past. But what I have done is each of these rows has a buried drip line under it. See that drip line right there? And it's underneath the corn, so that's just right straight on those corn roots. And places where I don't have a row, I've got a shutoff. So these are my green beans. They're starting to play out because it is starting to get hot. Gonna be 93, 95 today. All these have drip line on them underneath the plants, under the ground. There's another dead one right there that I didn't use. This is my okra. Need to get in here and maybe heal them or weed in between. It's kind of hard to weed now when you got the water line running underneath. Got to be careful you don't cut it with that hoe. And these are kind of an afterthought. These are my watermelons, and I need to come fertilize them. And I am going to put wood chips. I've got wood chips that have been brought, more coming, and I'm gonna spread this whole thing out here for about 10 feet away from these watermelons in wood chips and kill all this grass. And so the watermelons can run on those wood chips, and I won't have to come through here and try to mow with watermelon vines in it. So that's gonna work out real good. I'll show you that when I get that done. But that's what we're looking at, a simple irrigation system that anybody can put together. Putting the fittings together is really no problem. Punching the holes is no problem. And laying it out like you want it is no problem. Just figure it out in your head what you need to do, draw it out on a piece of paper, and I think you will do fine. So if you're spending very much time watering your garden, you need to look into an irrigation system. It takes a little time to put in, not a whole lot. The vegetable garden there with the earth boxes, I probably installed that in about 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And I was using the materials from last year, so I had to plug holes and I had to recut this and whatever. If I was going straight from brand new pipe and doing all that, it probably wouldn't have been near that long. So it's real easy to do, and you can just see how nice it looks in your garden. And you can just turn the handle on that timer, walk off, and know that you're getting your watering done. Can't beat it. I've got a video I'll link to at the end of this that explains a little bit more detail, how to put those fittings together and how to fix everything. Haas Tools has most of the parts needed for any irrigation system. So I'll put my associate link below to Haas Tools. Look for that and go there and look around. And if you have any questions, give me a holler. But it's pretty self-explanatory, but watch the other video first at the end of this one, explaining a little bit better the actual building of the irrigation system. Hope that helps. Hope your garden looks good. Hope you're starting to get some things out of it, or at least up north, hope you're at least starting to plant. All right, I believe that's gonna be it. We're gone.